Many people are not looking for love. They are looking for someone to distract them from loneliness. And I know that sounds harsh, but if you pay attention, you will start to see it everywhere. You will see people jumping from one relationship to another without ever taking time to understand themselves. You will see people terrified of being single, not because they miss a specific person, but because they hate being alone. You will see people staying in relationships that make them unhappy simply because the thought of loneliness scares them even more. And honestly, that is one of the saddest realities of modern relationships, because there is a huge difference between wanting someone and needing someone to escape yourself. Love says, I want to share my life with you. Loneliness says, I need you to help me avoid my life. Those are two completely different things. I've noticed that many people don't actually miss the person after a breakup. What they miss is their attention. They miss the routine. They miss having somebody to test every day. They miss having somebody around to feel the silence. And because they mistake that feeling for love, they rush into another relationship before they have healed from the previous one. The problem is that loneliness does not disappear just because another person enters your life. It gets quieter for a while, it gets distracted for a while. But eventually, if you have not dealt with what is happening inside you, that loneliness finds its way back. That is why some people can be surrounded by love and still feel empty. Some people, they can be in relationships and they still feel alone. Some are married, they're in a married, they are married, they still feel alone. Because loneliness is not always the absence of people. Sometimes it's the absence of connection with yourself. I've also noticed that many people have never actually learned how to enjoy their own company. Okay, they have spent so much of their life surrounded by noise, attention, relationships, social media, and distractions that being alone feels uncomfortable. Silence feels uncomfortable. Reflection feels uncomfortable. So instead of asking themselves difficult questions, they look for another person to focus on. Yeah. Instead of dealing with their wounds, they look for another relationship. Hmm? Instead of learning who they are, understanding who they are, they become obsessed with who somebody else is. And for a while, just for a while, it works. For a while, the excitement hides the emptiness. For a while, the attention hides that loneliness. For a while, the relationship becomes a distraction, right? But eventually, reality catches up because no human being can permanently fill a space that was created by lack of self understanding. Nobody. And I have also realized that the people who are most desperate for love are often not desperate for love at all. They are desperate for relief, relief from loneliness, relief from boredom, relief from insecurity, relief from feeling unseen. And that is dangerous because desperation lowers standards. When people become desperate, they ignore red flags, they tolerate disrespect, they accept less than they deserve. They confuse, yeah, they also confuse attention with affection, and they mistake presence for genuine connection. Real love is different. It's different. Real love happens when two whole people come together to share their lives, not when two lonely, not when two lonely people come together hoping the other person will fix what is broken inside them. Because eventually, every relationship reaches a point where the excitement fades and reality appears. And when that happens, the person who was using the relationship as a distraction is forced to face the very loneliness they were trying to escape. At the end of the day, one of the most important skills a person can develop is learning how to be alone without feeling lonely, learning how to enjoy their own company, learning how to sit with their thoughts, learning how to find peace without needing constant attention from another person. Because when you stop looking for somebody to rescue you from loneliness, you are finally ready to experience real love. The person who cannot be alone often mistakes attention for love and loneliness for connection.